there, you know.
It's what you watch it sometimes, it's going right along, and other times it stops, it's just resting for a minute. Well, what are we doing now?
We're doing our newest favorite Dorky tune. And why it's our favorite, how we came to this region was that about 3.5 years ago, we got a call from a man named John McIntyre, who has been one of the great contradance callers of Maine. He's in his 70s now, and he's kind of getting tired of driving all over the state, but he'll come up occasionally, and he was invited to call a dance at Finn Hall. And it was a contradance, and he told us, just play whatever you usually play, but there's one tune you need to learn, because it's always done at Finn Hall, whatever the dance is, and that is a Finnish tune called Ratikon, which is a polka with a slight difference where the band tries to actually trick the dancers, and you'll probably figure
Our
it out.
daughter calls us the Duke and Duchess of Dork,
And she's correct.
and she's absolutely accurate. Now, this tune is, I would say, the dorkiest tune I ever heard.
It's certainly in the top 3.
Yeah.
And we could play the others, but they're not on the set list, so you're spared. So Ratikon, I don't know the words. You can see a old Finnish man playing the accordion and singing it in Finnish, and it's something to do with the widows on the hill. And I don't think it's a very positive song, so I haven't felt moved to learn it. But anyone who feels like polka-ing at any time, feel free.
Gets you right there, right?
You need a hard wooden floor in an old Finnish hall for that. The stomp. Without the stomp, it just doesn't have quite the dorkitude. So are we? Oh yes. So how many of you were at the Center Theater Variety show for the hospice? Oh, good. John was there. Because we're getting known in this area for our dorky contradance music, but it's a little known fact that this guy is actually a pretty good guitarist. And so we decided for the variety show to present that side. Oh yeah, you were there actually. So we're going to reprise a couple of those pieces and then throw in something.
But you got to get the walking stick.
I'm going to get the walking stick. So I didn't bring my top hat and tails. And I won't.
This song was actually written by Irving Berlin, and it's a good one.
Streamed.
All right. Without my walking stick, I'd go insane. Can't look my best, I feel undressed without my cane. Must have my walking stick, 'cause it might rain. When it pours, can't be outdoors without my cane. Now if I ever left my house without my walking stick. It would be something I could never explain. Now the thing that makes me click on Lover's Lane would go for naught if I was caught without my cane.
They can do the soft shoe with Crocs on a carpet.
Now if I ever left my house without my walking stick, it would be something I could never explain. Now the thing that makes me click on Lover's Lane would go for naught if I was caught without my cane. Without my cane. Without my cane. You know, we met on the internet about 15 years ago.
Because we're so modern, a go-go.
And we discovered that we were, when we discovered that we were, each one was as dorky as the other one. Oh boy, what fun we've had. So, now you got to get the frog
I
out.
got my frog.
Now this is an instrument that few can play with success. Now you all heard of Edward VIII? You know, he was the one that abdicated. Now, when he abdicated, the British government, after he ran away with Wallace Simpson, well, they didn't know what to do with him. What do you do with a king who doesn't want to be king? Well, they made him the Governor General of the Bahama Islands, and the Bahamians hated him. And I met Edward one time when I was a young man, and they hated him with good reason. So there was it's kind of like a calypso group in the Bahamas called Lord Invader and the 12 Penetrators. And they made up a song about Edward that my sister, I wish you could meet my sister, taught me when I was, 12 or something. And so I liked it, and then I fooled around the rhythm. Ready? 'Twas in 1936, good King Edward in a hell of a fix. Love, 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 love alone caused King Edward to leave his throne. He was love, love alone caused King Edward to leave his throne. Love, 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 love alone caused King Edward to leave his throne. Now you can take his house, you can take his goat, leave him with his yachting boat. Love, 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 love alone caused King Edward to leave his throne. He was love, love, love alone caused King Edward to leave his throne. Love, 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 love alone caused King Edward to leave his throne. Now play along. take his house, you can take his store. Give him that lady from Baltimore. Love, 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 love alone. Post King Edward to leave his throne. He was love, love alone. Post King Edward to leave his throne. Love, 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 love alone. Post King Edward to leave his throne.
I don't know where he finds these songs.
Now,
I'm going to put the frog away.
before I met Allison, I was living in the Appalachians, you know, now, and I was trying to find myself a girlfriend, but you know, I'd go out with this one or that one, you know, and they found out what I'm like, you know, and they didn't have any further interest in me, and so I made this song up about my life then. I went down the other day for to have my fortune told. You don't know just what to do till you get to be too damn old. The crystal ball will tell it all, send you on your way. You can make it, you don't have to fake it if you know what's coming today. Now the gypsy queen says what to do as to how to shine my light. Get yourself a guitar, stand around till they work up an appetite. You flash your eyes and you tell some lies till the foxes come around. They'll get the habit, you get the rabbit every time you come to town. So went downtown and stood around. I did my music thing. I packed up my stuff and I went on home and I waited for the phone to ring. So if your thing calls you out and you feel the cold wind blow, move someplace where the sun shines and there's never any ice and snow. The only sound in the lost and found is the door back onto the street. I can make it, I don't have to fake it, I stand on my own 2 feet. I can make it, I don't have to fake it, I stand on my own 2 feet. Let's see, now what we gotta do now?
Something completely different. And just for the segue, when we met early on, we both were heard to say to each other, well, I'm not for everyone. And that pretty much describes this. So, my pandemic project was a lifelong desire that I had pushed down when the children were young, and then my first husband, and the finances just wouldn't allow it. And I didn't know that a used harp can't be found. They fly out the door very quickly. So I just went on to Craigslist, and there this one was, and we drove down to Ipswich, and I started playing almost exactly 1 year ago this week. So the learning curve has been enormous, and I'm sort of terrified. So just to let you know that. I'm going to play two tunes that are as much of a contrast from what you've just heard as possible. The first one is, what is the first one? The first one is The Grenadier and the Lady. It is a very obscure English folk song, and I checked with my English folk song experts, and I know some people who are pretty entrenched, and they didn't know any lyrics to this song. So it's just a piece of music called The Grenadier and the Lady. And I've never played this
Notice
before.
she started wearing kind of diaphanous.
Oh yes, I had to wear the
things.
long flowy gown. I would like my hair to be hanging down. I tried that this morning just because I hadn't braided yet, and it was just okay. So no. Okay. Funny thing about the harp is that the background, it makes all the difference. You know, usually I have a certain background on the floor, so when I was warming up today, it was very interesting. So I'll stop talking. The second piece I'm going to play is a more contemporary piece called Caledonia, which is a composed folk song by a Scotsman named Dougie MacLean. And I apologize, it is slightly out of tune, but there is the old joke about how long does it take to tune a harp? Nobody knows. I'm going to just start that again. Now what are we doing? Another something completely different, except not. Now
we had to make a trip to Boston.
Oh yeah.
Not too long ago, and we ended up in the southern part of Boston, where the Irish people
South
live.
End.
The South End, you know. And we got
Something.
lost. We had no idea where we were. And it was getting dark, you know. So I saw a sign for O'Malley's, the saloon, I guess, you know. So we went in there. And this is what happened when we got in there. Now, this is the kind of place that there's sawdust on the floor. You don't take a date to O'Malley's, you go there to drink. Now, we were trying to get somebody's attention, and just at that minute, a man walked in the door. Handsome man, about 40 years old. He walked up to the bar. He put his left elbow on the bar. The bartender came over, and he said to the bartender that he wanted a Bushmills whiskey. And it arrived, put in front of him, and this man started looking around the room in a most unfriendly manner. Well, shortly thereafter, a second man came in, looking very much like the first man. He walked over to the bar. He put his right elbow on the bar, thus facing the first man. And these two fellows started looking at each other in a very unfriendly way. The first man looked at the second man and said, "Where were you born?" Second man, "Cork." First man, "I was born in Cork." Second man, "You weren't." First man, "I was." First man then looked at the second man. "So where did you live?" Second man, "I lived in Waltham Street." "I lived in Waltham Street." "You didn't." "I did." "Well, where did you go to school?" "I went to St. Agnes." "I went to St. Agnes." "You didn't." "I did." "Well, how old would you be?" "I'm 42. "I'm 42. "You're not." "I am." The person across the bar said, "Look out, there's going to be a fight." And the bartender said, "It is only the Sullivan twins at it again." Sorry about that.
That is by way of introducing 3 Irish jigs, and this is not so much things that we learned to do during the pandemic, but it's just, if you've heard us play fiddle and keyboard, you've probably heard us play
I'm
that.
going to have to move
It's
this
one of our
chair,
favorite
and your
sets.
accordion is leaning against
Oh
it.
no!
So
I will move the accordion that the chair is leaning against, and then we'll be safe.
you say when you have an accordion in your car and you're going to leave the car, you better lock the car because you come back and there'll be another accordion.
They're sort of like zucchini. They have a way of proliferating.
Can I hear an A?
This is a tune that Margie knows well.
Okay.
That part.
Oh, this part I know, yeah.
So
Yeah, that
there's 3 tunes here now. These are, what was the Irish Rebellion?
It was the Easter Rebellion of 1916.
1916. Now, the first tune is called "Smash the Windows," and it refers to
The
taking a
Sullivan
bottle and filling it with nitroglycerin and throwing it. And of course, when it hit something, it would explode.
An alternate name for that tune is Roaring Jelly.
Roaring jelly.
Because of
And
the-
what would happen, of course, you know, when that thing went off, it would bust all the windows around, so it smashed the windows. The second tune is called Dusty Bob's Jig. Dusty Bob was a dustman, you know, a garbage man. And he was one of the people throwing the bottles. Now, the last tune is called Tenpenny Bit. And I have to
We're all
explain
of
this
age here.
carefully. we're all adults, so it refers, a tenpenny bit refers to the price of a lady of the evening in Dublin in that year. And
So it's a medley that we often play for dances.
and
some of
jigs,
you have heard
jigs
them.
are in 6/8 time, so they're da 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 da
Home again, jiggity jog.
so on and so
And
forth.
people think jigs are hard, but they're not.
Okay, go ahead. That last tune, if you ever saw the film Titanic, they played that
In
in
steerage.
They were dancing.
Yeah,
they were dancing to this tune.
very famous too.
And this fiddle here I'm playing, I made this fiddle. So
Used to
probably why it sounds so awful.
have- No,
Okay, what are we doing now?
we're doing another piece of music you wrote,
Oh, yeah.
and followed by a piece of music that my keyboard mentor Bob McQuillan wrote. And Beth knows both of those tunes. We should have had you bring your fiddle. Didn't know you were coming. Darn. This is we have been honored to be invited to play with some real people. We need to get them headlining here sometime. And they're the contradance band in the region, and they have very kindly been willing to play some of the tunes that we hand them from time to time. So, Mr. Fezziwig's Ball.
Yeah, Mr. Fezziwig's Ball. I was in a show one time down south for the Christmas Carol. They wanted me to play the part of a fiddler in the street, and so I couldn't think of anything to play. So I made up this tune called Mr. Fezziwig's Ball, because he liked parties, and
He was Scrooge's first boss. I think most of you probably know that.
And
Looked like a well-read group of people.
so
And he loved parties. And when we've done, sometimes we've been invited to put on a Mr. Fezziwig's Ball, like if the fifth grade class has been reading through the Christmas Carol or something, and we teach the actual dance that's described in the book, and we use this tune. 'Cause it works. Grab the box again, don't I?
Yeah, the squeeze
The
box.
squeeze box.
By the way, how you like our shoes? Come on.
And the jiggets on my shoes were donated by your boys last year, your sons. They're not, I showed them. They were wearing tie-dyed Crocs when we performed here last year, and I was admiring them and showing them ours, and they said, but we have jiggets. And the next time we were at the library, we were handed a baggie of jiggets, and I took them all, because I'm selfish.
Yeah, I didn't get any jiggets.
You can have my jiggets.
Yeah, but now they're stuck right on
They
there.
could unstick them. Okay, this is back to a slight change of pace. We're going to play a couple of tunes that we hope will make you feel that you're in a French or Italian cafe, sipping your cappuccino, sort of. I mean, the first one is called Maison de Glace, and it's another one Beth could very well come up and play if she had just brought her. Anyway, it was written by a French-Canadian, Philippe Brunet, in a workshop in Virginia at a dance weekend, I think, where they were sitting in an ice house on the property. And it was a composing tunes workshop, and he had written most of the start of the tune to inspire the group, and they came up with this tune called Maison de Glace.
Twice through? Three? Twice?
Twice.
Twice.
Twice is plenty. It's,
We're negotiating.
yeah. I'll see you two and raise you, no. It's my favorite tune. How about if I do an introduction?
Okay, go ahead.
Twice is enough. And now you have to put that down and pick up the mandolin.
Oh, it's very confusing, you know it is.
Well, switching between instruments is very confusing, but he can do it. I can do it. You can do it. So this tune was also written by a French-Canadian, Daniel Tonon, and he had been to a film festival in Italy. And he wrote this tune and he named it Cinecittà, the city of film. And this is, I think, our debut with this tune too.
What?
I don't think we've performed this one in public.
Okay, well,
So we'll see how it goes.
here's a weird thing. Several years ago, I was on a trip, and I went into one of those Cracker Barrel places, you know, and I bought a tape in there called Mandolins and Friends. And I listened to it faithfully for a long time, and then I lost it. But there was a tune on there I really liked, but I could only remember parts of it. And I never could figure out who wrote it. I don't know what it was called or anything. So
we've Googled it, and it's been online as hundreds of mandolin players Googling it, trying to find it. You see questions about it all over the internet, but never find out anything about it. So we call it that D minor tune.
Ready?
One more tune on the list. I don't know
There's
how much
two
longer.
more.
There's two more?
Oh, no, there's
Okay.
one more.
One more on the list, but I don't know how much longer you want us to play. I mean,
As long as you want to.
well, let's play South Wind and then C.
See,
Yeah.
you know, when we were first married, music is like food and drink to us, you know. So we'd be lying in bed, and Allison would say, "What tune is playing in your head?" And I'd tell her, and she'd say, "Okay, I'll take the high part, and you take the low part." And there was never a sound, but we'd finish at exactly the right second, you know. And that's goes on all.
We did
the
that
time.
on the phone before we even met.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of notorious.
We had this conversation when we were first talking on the phone, where I complimented her on her intellect, because it's powerful, you know. I mean, she's got quite an intellect. And there was this pause on the other end of the phone. And finally she said, "Hun, I'm a girl." And when she said it, I got weak in the knees. So this is a tune, a beautiful romantic tune called South Wind, an old Irish tune.
And Little Waltz.
And we're playing it 3 times, right?
We are playing it 3 times
Yeah.
this time.
So. Yeah, we would do
The ones that. Choke.
what?
Choke.
Yeah, all right,
Okay.
all right.
You'll have to forgive. Our dog has been sick. She's much better. Our house is for sale. We're moving to Atkinson. We're staying in the area, and our house was shown twice today. We had to get out of Dodge and make the house perfect. So we're a little scattered, and if we don't give a much longer program, I hope you'll indulge us. But we really have enjoyed being here. So we're going to give you our sort of standard final piece, and Hunt will tell you a little bit about it. This is not a something new. This is
What's the
almost,
first tune called?
it's called Coleman's March.
Coleman's March. That's, I never can remember the names on these things.
I think it's the house for
Coleman's
sale.
March is a wonderful, wonderful
Oh,
tune.
and I was going to say, and we've had 2 rogue roosters move in.
Oh, yeah. Somebody
Had-
dropped roosters off at our house, so we got roosters in there cockle-doodle doing at
4 in the morning.
4:30 in the morning, which is, you know.
Which, when we're usually awake anyway.
Well, anyway, it's
So
not
we're just a
important.
little scattered.
But Coleman's March, when I lived in the Appalachians, we used to tell this story. This is out of the Civil War, this tune. And the story that grew up around it is this way. Coleman was a soldier. Now, we don't know if he was a Confederate soldier or a Union soldier, but he was a soldier, and he had done some terrible thing, and he was sentenced to be hung. And the awful day arrived, and they brought Coleman out, and the hangman said to Coleman, he knew that Coleman was a fiddler. He said, I'll tell you what, Coleman, if you can make up a tune right here on the spot that's good enough, I won't hang you. Coleman, needless to say, calls for his fiddle.
It's called motivation.
And the fiddle arrives, and he played the tune that you're about to hear. The hangman listened, you know, sort of like this. And Coleman got all through with the tune and looked at the hangman expectantly, and he said, Coleman, that's nice, but no. And Coleman said, well, listen to it again, it'll grow on you.
This is often played at contradance speed, but we really like it as more of a march, almost a dirge-like march. So that's what you're going to get.
And then the second tune you will recognize, I believe. All right? That's all we know. We don't know anything else.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And that last tune was Ashokan Farewell.
And it's not an old tune. It was written in 1983.
That's right. It was actually written before the documentary, and one of the people who used to go to Ashokan dance camp was working on Ken Burns' staff, and that's how it happened.
Well, I would expect nothing less from a Duke and Duchess.
Of Dork. To know that stuff. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's how we roll.
And we're holding back, let me tell you that.
We are, yeah. You're just getting just the surface. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks for listening to us. Thank you.